Michael Cohen admits to stealing from Donald Trump. Microplastics are everywhere. And arrest warrants are out for Israel and Hamas leaders. Hopefully they won't share the same cell. They just fight over who owns what part of it. That and more on this week's America Uncovered headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. I'm afraid we have to start with some news that is really tragic. In fact, it's maybe one of the hardest stories I've ever had to cover. After closing several dozen locations, Red Lobster has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. Endless shrimp may be finally coming to an end. I'm sorry. Jordan Peterson was right. Red Lobsters do prove that hierarchies are inevitable in chain restaurants. At least I'm pretty sure that's what he said. I guess listening to a 4-hour lecture on a stomach that is empty of cheddar biscuits was a bad idea. Speaking of poorly thought out ideas, pro-Palestinian protesters at Drexel University in Philadelphia cleared out from their encampment after a police warning, allowing the campus to mostly return to normal after several days of virtual classes. To date, over 3,000 anti-Israel protesters have been arrested on campuses nationwide. With the school year winding down at most universities, it's unclear how much longer these protests will last. If the protesters are really committed to the cause, they'll set up encampments at most students' post-graduation activities, taking a summer abroad, moving back in with their parents while they find themselves, getting a job they didn't go to college for while telling themselves it's only temporary, and dying surrounded by their loved ones who gave them the drive to keep going to that temporary job day in, day out over 40 years. Because let's be real, the Israel-Palestine conflict will probably still be happening at that point. From protest encampments to homeless encampments, it's time for our weekly edition of Really, California? Really? Oakland has decided to replace the traffic lights at some busy intersections with stop signs in order to deter copper thieves. I guess people were stealing copper wiring in the traffic lights? City locals are blaming a homeless encampment for the decision and accusing the city of caring more about maintaining the homeless encampments than maintaining safe intersections. To which I say, yeah, they do. Speaking of people stealing things, during cross-examination at Donald Trump's so-called hush money case, the former president's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, admitted to stealing $30,000 from the Trump organization. Looks like the prosecution's star witness is falling. Quick, make a wish.
There are two moments that the jury has seen now where Cohen has been caught being less than truthful, where now with this revelation today that he stole money from the Trump organization, the defense can paint him not only as a liar and an unreliable narrator, but now also as a thief.
What? A lawyer that lies and steals? You expect a jury to believe that? What next? You're going to say that car mechanics might try to rip you off? Or that the Nigerian prince isn't really going to send you any money? He said he'd send it as soon as he got back from Wakanda. In general, I'd say lawyers are just about as honest and trustworthy as Ticketmaster and Live Nation. The Department of Justice is suing them, claiming a monopoly. But I love paying $300 in service fees for a $20 ticket. Who doesn't? Cohen also admitted that he wants to see Trump convicted. So, the prosecution's star witness admits he has a grudge against the defendant and has proven himself to be dishonest. The defense rested without Trump testifying, and closing arguments in the case are expected next week. The big question is, what happens to Trump's political aspirations if he's convicted? And the answer is, not much, actually. I know, kind of anticlimactic after all this buildup, huh? It's almost like most of this is just for show. But that would mean that the media and prosecutors are biased. No, that can't be. They're as honest as lawyers. There's nothing in the Constitution that bars someone who's been convicted of a crime from running for office, which makes sense if you think about it, since this country was founded by folks that were okay with a bunch of hooligans ruining perfectly good tea. When I ask someone to spill the tea, this isn't what I'm talking about, you roustabouts. In a recent study, microplastics were found in human and dog testicles. Researchers tested 23 human testes and 47 dog testes, and microplastics were found in all of them. Every single one. This is horrifying. They found 47 dogs that still had their testes. Did Bob Barker teach us nothing? Have your pets spayed and neutered, people. Only tiny particles of microplastic were found, but researchers theorize this could be linked to lower sperm counts, which has been declining for decades. You see, there's only so much room in your given pair of testes, so for every microplastic particle that goes in, a sperm has to be evicted. Other research suggests common pesticides in food may also be responsible for reducing sperm counts. Oh, did I say that a sperm had to be evicted? I meant poisoned. I don't know about you, but I might not ever eat food again. And after the break, ChatGPT sounds too much like this celebrity. Welcome back. OpenAI says it will remove its Sky voice in ChatGPT due to how similar it sounds to actress Scarlett Johansson. Before debuting Sky, OpenAI's chief executive, Sam Altman, called Johansson's agent and asked if she'd consider licensing her voice. Scarlett Johansson voices an artificial intelligence virtual assistant in the movie Her. And many speculate that's why Altman asked her. Only she said no. So OpenAI went with a different voice actress who sounds eerily similar to the star. This upset Johansson, who hired a lawyer over the matter. You know, you pair this voice up with that Scarlett Johansson robot a guy in Hong Kong made, and you've got the apocalypse on your hands. As Futurama rightly warned us, don't date robots. Special committee established to oversee an independent review of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or FDIC, released a report of its findings. And the report was damning. It was so damning that Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown, who heads the Senate Banking Committee, says the FDIC needs new leadership and that President Biden should nominate a new chair. And the current FDIC chair announced he will step down when a replacement is confirmed. So did Brown want the leadership at the FDIC to change due to them failing to prevent several banks from collapsing within the past year, which we've covered on this channel? No. It's because the report showed a toxic workplace culture of sexual harassment, discrimination, and bullying. So he thinks the biggest issue with one of the largest financial institutions in the country is their lack of an HR department. Honestly, that might be the best complaint Brown could make to create change. Because if Andrew Cuomo taught us anything, it's that sexual harassment is a way more serious crime to Democrats than reckless policy. Cuomo is just now, finally, getting questioned about all those grandmas his COVID policies killed, by the way. Not convicted, mind you, just questioned. Cuomo would have been on trial way sooner if instead of putting those grannies in the ground, he put them in bikinis. So if protesting college students want Democrats in Congress to really get tough on Israel, instead of talking about all the civilian deaths, they should say, Israel is sexually harassing Gaza. Well, when you put it like that, we gotta stop them, because our priorities are definitely in order. Speaking of Israel, the International Criminal Court, or the ICC, is seeking an arrest warrant against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Hamas leaders for crime against humanity. Wait, we could just arrest them this whole time? Why did no one think of this? Quick, while you're at it, issue arrest warrants for Putin and Xi Jinping. Well, the ICC actually did previously issue an arrest warrant for Putin. There's just one problem, though. While the ICC, which is intended to prosecute crimes against humanity and genocide, is backed by 124 countries, Russia isn't one of them, so they don't recognize the warrant. But Russia isn't alone. The United States isn't a member of the court either. Why? Well, after the court was established in 2002, the Department of Justice said, "We are concerned that there are insufficient checks and balances on the authority of the ICC prosecutor and judges, including protections against politicized persecutions." I wonder if there's anything politicized about what's going on right now. The United States rejected the ICC's arrest warrant for Netanyahu in unequivocal terms.
Let me be clear. We reject the ICC's application for arrest warrants against Israeli leaders. What's happening is not genocide. We reject that.
The U.S. has a history of facing off against the ICC. While speaking to the UN General Assembly in 2018, former President Trump said this.
As far as America is concerned, the ICC has no jurisdiction, no legitimacy, and no authority. The ICC claims near universal jurisdiction over the citizens of every country, violating all principles of justice, fairness, and due process. We will never surrender America's sovereignty, to an unelected, unaccountable global bureaucracy.
Which makes sense, since this country was founded by folks that were okay with criminal tea spillers. So this arrest warrant won't do much, even if Germany said they would execute the arrest warrant against Netanyahu if he entered their country. Which, frankly, isn't a surprise. I mean, Germany wanting to detain a Jew? Look, you have all the pieces for that joke. Get yourself a wrench and IKEA it yourself. So this warrant is largely symbolic and won't actually stop the bloodshed in Gaza. Why does that sound familiar? There's a hierarchy to these sorts of things. There's a hierarchy to everything, really. I learned that while listening to Jordan Peterson's lecture on Red Lobster. I don't blame Red Lobster for being bad with money. The US dollar makes no sense. And to help explain why, I'm going to talk about bottle caps from Fallout on my other channel, Gamers Unbeaten. Check it out. An America Uncovered wouldn't exist without your support. Click that orange button to support us on Patreon. All it takes is $1 an episode, and you can set a monthly limit. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.